All right, so we are here. We made it for our very first podcast here on YouTube. And guys, there's a couple of things I want to talk about right before we branch out into our podcast, which is this is it. This will be the format that I have here, at least on this YouTube channel, for the rest of the life of this channel. This is what we will be doing. We will forever have this channel as a podcast channel. So you guys know that I've done a ton of reviews of apps and websites on my channel here, and for the most part I really felt like those videos, in a sense, they're lacking so much information that I feel like within this podcast I will be able to get out to you guys. If I have an hour to sit here and talk about a specific subject, and if I do my research here, which I've done a lot of research, but if I have an hour to sit here and talk about a specific subject, I can put so much information out within these podcasts that I could not do in a 10-minute video on YouTube. And while I know that some of you go to a YouTube channel specifically for content that is shorter in length, you're going to get that too. So you have my second channel whenever it comes to the paying application reviews and paying website reviews. You have my second channel for that. So look at this as the best of both worlds. If you have more time and you really want to sit here and learn more about paying apps and websites and ways to make money via the web, check out my podcast here. It's going to be all across the web here over time. We will still be doing live streams here at this channel. There's a lot of interesting stuff. And in fact, if I had to sit here and say, I think that this channel is probably going to be the most interesting of the two. But of course, if you want those shorter reviews of apps and websites, check out eCash Society. So last note here before we branch into our topic for our podcast is I wanted to kind of sit here and I guess maybe show off just a little bit. If you look at the setup here on YouTube, it really is, it's something really awesome to sit here and look at. So there's a couple of things that you can't really see. I showcased it in the stream. I've got the Nano Leaf Rhythm, which is over here. I would like to maybe consider eventually having that somewhere in the eye of view. So if you don't know about the Nano Leaf Rhythm, it's these custom light panels. They all snap together. They're really interesting to look at. You should definitely go and check those out. And I've also got to get my LaMetric clock, which showcases my YouTube subscribers. We're close to 10,000 subscribers. That really is an achievement here on YouTube. And we are so many subscribers away. So if you're checking this channel out for the first time, really consider subscribing. Push us to the mark here. 10,000 subscribers is kind of like the first step here on YouTube whenever it comes to unlocking everything that YouTube has to offer. So then I will have a representative here on YouTube for my channel. So but before I ramble off into anything else, this is pretty much your introduction to our future podcasts. And guys, welcome. Let's hop into our first podcast. If you guys have been watching my channel for a long time, you know that I've put out countless videos whenever it comes to paying applications and paying websites. And that is definitely the topic of discussion for today. We want to go through like the history of phone farming. And in fact, there's so much information that I have to go into today. An intense amount of information is going to be in this podcast. So it's definitely one that you want to sit down and buckle up for, because it's about to be a roller coaster. There's so much we have to talk about. Now, before we get started, I'm actually going to talk to you guys about the fact that there is a new Get Paid To website that has recently started up here that aims to cut out all of the useless offers that you would go to a Get Paid To website and you would see all these offers that are really hard to qualify for. So this website, which is called Beermoney.world, cuts out all of the useless offers. If you don't know anything about Get Paid To websites, it's a place that you can go and generate a little bit of money in your spare time and come up with free gift cards, free Bitcoin, free PayPal cash, and free digital visas. You can pull cash right out of these websites. Now, a lot of you that have been following my channel, you already know about all sorts of Get Paid To websites and plenty of paying smartphone applications. But we're definitely going to be talking about a couple of brand new applications today in the podcast. That's one thing to say. There's a couple that I mentioned, one in a live stream that we just did, but also there's another one I'm going to bring up today. They haven't really been talked about on YouTube. So I know you guys, you're looking for brand new ways to make money. And definitely throughout this year, you are definitely going to see that come out of my podcast here. So, staying on point though, we're talking about the history of phone farming, how it pretty much started, what phone farming is, and how people have been making hundreds to thousands of dollars out of paying smartphone applications and paying websites. I have a friend and he knows exactly who he is. You guys might hear more of him in the future, but he has made thousands of dollars off of one website, so I think he's tipped over $1,000 on swag bucks. A few of you will maybe know exactly who I'm talking about, but he's made tons of money just out of one website. Now, these paying applications in phone farming, what you do with them is you have multiple smartphones here. This is for the person that's never heard about phone farming. You have multiple smartphones here. You take these applications, you put them on your smartphones, and they just generate income. So recently in this world of phone farming, we have seen that a lot of the passive applications that have been around for so long have actually started to die out. Now, a few have kind of popped up and taken their place, one of them being Cash Magnet, which is probably the most commonly used phone farming app right now. It is the most commonly used one. So the one thing to say is, the passive side of this stuff is starting to die out. And the question is, will we see more of it come about in the future? Are we going to see more and more passive applications? So I was kind of surprised by an app that came about that is passive. I haven't really talked about this one much on YouTube. I'm not really a fan of the application. It's called HoneyGain. And what that allows you to do is take your data. So you have your internet service provider and you can sell portions of your data. And then you generate income from that. The thing is, you're not making a lot of money off of that. Now, unless you have a setup that has multiple IP addresses, this is something we'll talk about here because it is part of the history of phone farming. People are out here with multiple IP addresses, it allows them essentially to have more accounts. And then of course, having more accounts equals more money. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. I want to stay right here on point with the history of phone farming. So in the very beginning, you had Beermoney.world as well as the perk applications. These are probably essentially right at the beginning of phone farming. Whenever this really started to attract people's attention, you had the perk applications and tons of people started using them. It was discussed over at Beermoney.world, which one thing with the Beermoney.world scene is they try to shy away from anything that either borderlines on something that's scam or something that's fraud. But the one thing to point out with perk is in their terms and conditions for their apps, they stated that there's not really a device limit or an account limitation. I actually did a video about this a while back. So all these ad providers that have their ads on these apps, I question what was going on in their minds whenever they're allowing their advertisements to be on an app that, basically is not telling anyone how to use the app. This is like one of the biggest topics right now whenever it comes to these applications is there's no transparency. It's something that really needs to be talked about here. There is next to no transparency from the people that have their apps. If you try to contact them, in a lot of cases, they will not respond. And if they do respond, you're going to get a vague answer from the people that have these applications. Now, I hope with this podcast, I really, really hope, and I've talked to a few app developers, app owners out here. I'm friends with a couple of people that host Get Paid 2 websites, so I'm really hoping that we can get more people on board to sit here and talk about this world of making money this way, because the more transparency that there is out here, the better off we all are. I don't think every person wants to sit here with 50 different smartphones, 100 different smartphones running these applications, and they don't really want to do anything wrong. They just want to know what they can do with an app, how they can make the most money out of that app, and what all they need to do to just be successful on that app, to not be banned. When you see a person that's received a ban and they have no understanding as to why, no reason why, they're very frustrated, because they feel like they've done nothing wrong, but maybe they have. They've broken some rule here that they really weren't trying to break to begin with. So back on topic here again, though, the history of phone farming. People started talking about it over at Beermoney Reddit. This became more commonplace whenever different videos started popping up on YouTube. We saw different YouTubers come about. So, of course, you guys are going to know one of the guys that, really essentially started the very first phone farming channel here on YouTube called the Tech Slugs. And there were a few other videos that were on YouTube at that time. So, whenever I started my channel, essentially it really was a phone farming channel at its core, but at the same time, I wanted to talk about multiple different ways that you can make money via the web. So we have discussed cryptocurrencies. We've really focused a lot on get paid to websites because it's something that's really, it's been left out. So many people are actually using get paid to websites, but no one was really breaking down how much you could make out of a get paid to website. That's one of the things that I seriously wanted to focus on was some of these get paid to websites, they pay you less. And in some cases, it is a lot less. We're not talking, just like 20% that they take. We're talking 50%, in some cases 60% of the revenue that you might generate on that website is taken by the person that has that website. And I think it's a bit insulting whenever a person is taking half and they have, in some cases, thousands of users. I don't want to point out too many websites out here, but the guys that have been around for a long time, they're taking a lot of revenue. Whereas like you've got some get paid to websites, and I'll actually shout those out right here within this podcast. GG2U is one that's right up here at the top. Reward XP is definitely one that's right up here at the top. And, as far as how they pay you. So not everyone is out here just trying to bleed you for money. So, but get paid to websites they are a part of this whole, I guess you would call it the ecosystem of making money via the web this way. Because, and we'll talk about this too, you've got some of the same ad providers that are on these get paid to websites are also on a lot of these applications. So some of them being like Jun Group is a really good one to reference because they have been on quite a few apps. They're on apps right now, and they're also on websites. So if you've ever seen HyperMX, which is on some websites for you to watch some videos, you see these advertisements, you generate points from that, and then you cash out for money or gift cards. So, but they're also on some brand new applications that have popped out here. So I'll go ahead, I think right here within the podcast, and I'll mention two apps that are fairly new apps that you can use right now, make some money. The thing is, they're not really passive. Like I said, I really feel like the passive side of things is maybe going to fade off into being non-existent. We'll touch more on that topic in a second, but Game Tame as well as ClickLoot. So I mentioned that one in a live stream here recently. ClickLoot is another app that's out here that you can click on these advertisements. They have ads, but there's tons of different ad providers. So the ad providers are out here, and I really feel like there's maybe some sort of a struggle here that's going on right now with the ad providers as well as people that have applications. With the fact that we've seen so many apps die out, there's very few apps right now that are left that you can actually generate some money with. So being on point here, though, the apps do exist. There are apps that are out here right now that you can go to, you can make money with. Now, with the history of phone farming, though, are we going to see more apps come out in the future that are passive applications? That's what you really have to ask yourself. Will we see more passive apps pop up? I didn't think that we would see anything new that was passive within this last year, which is whenever I took my longest break away from YouTube. So I really kind of thought that it would be a few years before we saw anything passive pop up. So during that time, we had a current app, which is where you can go and you can play some music and generate some points. And it was paying really decent in the beginning. Now it pays a lot less. Another example would be AA Music. So AA Music recently, they say that they are maybe not dead. It may not be a dead application, but it's a possibility that it is dead. So we see a lot of these passive apps. They've popped up here within this last year, and they have at the same time, they have started to either go downhill or they die. So I would like to think that the reason behind that is because we have so many people that are trying to abuse these applications, and you have to sit here and question why people are doing just that. Why are they going to an app Why are they trying to, find a way to make that app pay them more? It's because these applications are not paying as much as we really want them to pay. So this is like a direct shout out to all those ad providers out there that they put their ads on these apps and then they want to pay a very, very small amount for people to engage with these applications and these advertisements. So if we're going to sit here and have to tap these ads back to back to back to back to back, we would at least like to be making something that would be considered relevant for our time. So I'd really like to see an app developer's side of things whenever it comes to their admin panel. I'd like to see the ratio of people that actually engage with these advertisements. They make it a point to actually click on the advertisements, watch the video, and then, of course, generate those points and how long they will do it throughout the day. So this is where we kind of branch into the topic of people that have been exploiting applications. So, and this does happen. This has been going on since the very beginning of phone farming. There's always someone that will try and make more out of an application, which is understandable if you're not making much. And I know that people were making a really decent amount of money in the beginning, but also if people are smart, if they don't want to be hassled to do something, and I really should say this, whenever it comes to the advertisements, you cannot force a person to watch an advertisement. You might be able to force them to have to click it, but I've heard so many people, you tell me if you're one of them, that have had you've had an app, you've had to sit there and click the videos, right? But you'll take the phone and you'll turn it in the opposite direction, or you'll sit it there on your lap and you'll sit there and you'll watch TV, you'll watch a movie or something while you just tap that button or tap the X. So you're not really paying attention to the advertisements to begin with. So that's really how these ad providers, that's how they really need to think about this. If someone is going to really interact with an app and they're really going to watch a video and generate some points here, we're going to have to be probably paid pretty well for us to actually want to pay attention. So for me, it's like it's an insult if I have to sit here and click these ads back to back to back just to get 0.03 cents, not even making a cent, and I've got to click it back to back to back. I'm just not going to want to do that. But if I was actually really making some money here, I'm more likely to sit here and engage with an application and have my eyes right there on my phone. So there are so many paying applications that are out here right now that a person could look at. So is this world really dead? Is it dying? Will it ever end? No, I do not think that phone farming should it be called that anymore. I don't think that phone farming is ever really going to die. I think it's just going to change. I think that these ad providers, they have had enough time here to sit here and look at how they want to have their ads on an application. They have had enough time to sit here and build a business model for each application that has their advertisements. They've had the time to sit here and say, this is how we want to do things. And, at the end of the day, I still feel like they're doing things wrong. They're doing things very, very wrong. Because if you look at a guy like me here on YouTube and doing this podcast, and I'm talking about these ad providers, and, so I mention them, and then, let's just think about my reach here on YouTube. If I have thousands of people that come to a video and they see this video and they see your advertisements. So, and I'm a phone farmer. I sit here with phones, and I'll sit here and generate some points on these apps, and I'll cash out for my gift cards and my PayPal cash. And if I sit here and I mention your advertisements, that's a fair amount of eyes that have made it over to your application. So I think that the passive scene, it really should be here. I don't think that we're going to see companies like AdSend Media and Hideout TV. I don't think that they'll ever fade away. I don't think that we will ever see the passive side of things fully die. I think that there will be something around here for a long time for you to sit here and make money this way with advertisements. And in fact, now that we have cryptocurrencies coming about, and we have other websites that want you to possibly generate some revenue passively with cryptocurrencies, the world is changing, guys. So we need opportunities like this. But once again, I have a tendency to sit here and ramble. I do want to focus solely on the history of phone farming. So we talked about the fact that Beer Money, Reddit, and Perk were right around the beginning of phone farming. We have branched out to like YouTubers that have talked about phone farming. We talked about my channel for a second, but what is really left as far as the history of phone farming? There's the applications that have died out, like Lotto, Rewardable, even Swagbucks, their applications recently. They still have a passive app. That's one thing to mention. If you had no idea, you can go over to the Swagbucks app, and they now have a fully passive section. So, and this is recently that they just started up a fully passive section for you to generate Swagbucks. So it's kind of ironic that these guys up at the top, they're still here. Your AdSense Media, your Hideout TV, your Swagbucks, those guys are still here and they're doing just fine. So I question what all happened behind the scenes here that led to the decline and the fall of Rewardable. If you don't know about that app, you were able to kind of set it off to the side, and it would play an advertisement ever so often, and you could cash out around, like, it wasn't a lot, it was between $10 and $20 in your account every single month directly to PayPal. It paid out to PayPal. But their applications have died out. They also have a website, and they had a video section that was on their website, which is ultimately gone. The only thing that's left, ironically, is what? Hideout TV as far as their passive options. They do have surveys there as well. So, guys, everything is definitely evolving. It is changing. Should we look at phone farming as if is that still a term that we should use here whenever it comes to using these apps and these websites to make money? I don't really know. Only time can sit here and tell, as far as, especially within the next few years, as to whether we're going to see something that's really relevant pop up here. So the one thing that can be said, though, is you are definitely going to see an incline in the amount of people that will sit here and take these applications and try to abuse them in any way, shape, or form, because they don't want to sit here and be hassled with having to click for 4 hours a day just to make a couple of bucks. That's absurd. So that's where we see people using multiple accounts, trying to find ways around, the limitations as far as what they can earn. And guys, there's definitely a lot out here. There is a lot. Believe me, I know. I have quite a few friends who are, I guess you would say, up at the top whenever it comes to taking these apps and doing different things to make them more profitable. Though I will not say that I do anything like that. So, but where could we go from here? There's the history of phone farming. Where will it be in the next few years? So I guess I would like to hope, and I would like to think that we'll see a few more passive applications. It gives me a bit of hope whenever I see Swagbucks over here coming out with another fully passive section for you to sit here and make some money with. So you definitely want to take a look at that. So I'll say this as well. A lot of the applications that we discuss right here will also be reviewed over at my second channel, which is eCash Society. So if you haven't subscribed over there, you definitely want to subscribe over there. So guys, I spend hours every single day right here on the web trying to find the next brand new application that is really profitable. So I showed you guys in a live stream how I've made a really decent amount of money out of one app, and I said that I would tell you guys here pretty soon what that application is and why I feel like it is the main application that you should use right now. So, and I'm going to. Within the next few podcasts, my next, with one of them will be brand new applications. We'll be discussing only brand new applications. So I do have a format planned out here for different podcasts that I will do. I have countless podcast ideas that I have kind of tucked away here. So you're going to see so many brand new things come out of this channel. So, but as far as the future of phone farming, where is it going to be within the next few years? I think we're going to see a lot of applications will pop up that will be more interacting based applications. You will have to sit here and actually have your hands on your phone. You will have to click these advertisements. Do I think that the advertisements are ever going to float away as far as being able to make some money that way by clicking ads and generating points? No, I do not, because because there are way too many mobile ad providers that are out here right now. Vungle, Tapjoy, Iron Source, Ad Colony. Oh my God, it's a very, very large list. So you've got AdMob, of course, from Google. So there are so many different ad providers that are out here right now, and they want to get their advertisements onto an app. Now, the issue is like having it as a rewarding app. So I know that Google is actually very cautious about it. Seems like they are anyways. They're very cautious about the rewarding aspect of things and actually paying someone to interact with an advertisement. So we're going to pause right here for 2 seconds. But that is exactly why I don't think that this world is ever going to die. I think there's always going to be a place here on YouTube to sit here and discuss these paying apps and websites. You know, they're not going to die out. We're not going to see, chances are we're definitely not going to see Cash Magnet go anywhere for the next few years, you know. So, and there's always going to be something that will come up and it will take its place. So it's like one app gets struck down, another one pops up in its place. The one thing I would really like to see, though, is more of these passive applications pop up. So, you know, the phone farmers, they maybe account for, oh my goodness, I definitely think that we play a part here as far as like the money that's been generated here for some of these companies. We definitely play a part here as far as the ad revenue. But in the grand scheme of things, if you look at these apps that they allow users from even outside of the United States, we're talking people in Germany, just countless countries out here in the world can actually use these applications. I believe that ClickLoot is one that actually has a fair amount of opportunity. Maybe it's either ClickLoot or GameTame. One of those two has a fair amount of opportunities for people that are outside of the United States. And I think they actually have advertisements that you can click outside of the United States. I'm not 100% sure of that. I just see that the cash out options are more geared for people outside of the US. So I would assume that at least there's some opportunities there for a person outside the US to make money. So like I said, this whole world is actually, it's expanding, and in a sense it really is. There are apps that are out here to use. It's not dead. This phone farming has maybe changed from being passive to more non-passive, but there's still passive opportunities out here. They're just kind of far and few, and you kind of have to know somebody to know what you're doing with these apps to make them more passive. So we try to steer clear of discussions of automation, but we can branch out on this topic a little bit here within this podcast because it's a part of the history of phone farming. I really encourage you guys to go and check out. This is a topic for discussion in a future podcast, and we're going to talk a lot more about it. But there is a section of Reddit that was called Perk TV, where and all these people that kind of came forward whenever Perk died, and they showcased their methods for how they were automating these apps, exploiting the apps to give them more money. And I cannot help but just be a little bit, I don't know. I was shocked whenever I saw that, because you have this company that's already pretty passive. You know, they were pretty much fully passive in the beginning. And then, of course, they set things up to where they have an "Are you still watching?" section that you have to click on the screen. That's how things were towards the end. You had to click a pop-up that would come up. It was like the ad providers were laying into the people that had these apps. Oh, we see people with all these phones, and we want to get our ads out to just one individual. They don't need to have a billion phones, and they need to actually see the advertisement. They need to interact with the advertisement. I said this just a second ago. You cannot, ad providers, please hear me whenever I say you cannot force a person to watch an advertisement. I don't care if it's on cable television. I don't care if it's here on the web. I don't care if it's on a phone. You cannot force a person to watch an advertisement. So you've got ad blockers. If it's cable television, you know what? It's a bathroom break time. It's time to go and get some food. Let's cook some food really quick before we make it back to the show. And if I hear the show, then I'll run back really quick with my food. You cannot force a person to interact with an advertisement. So if you want people to interact with the ads, if you want them to see the ads, treat people well. But if you treat people bad, then I think you're just going to see more people rise up against this thing that's going on here. And like I said, we want to make money. you know what, I would really like to make some money. And if I see something that's really cool in one of your advertisements, I'm definitely going to consider going over to that where I could purchase that product and consider picking it up if I like the product. But of course, if you sit here and make people so frustrated, once again, I'm getting off topic here, but I mean, that really is a point to sit here and make. You can't force people to watch advertisements. So, but as far as the future of phone farming, I think that we're going to see people here on YouTube will always be discussing brand new paying applications. There's always going to be paying apps. So, and I myself, I made the smart decision here. Some people let their phones go. They sold all their phones and they hopped out of phone farming. And if I hadn't kept these phones that are laid out on this table, I'm in the process of setting my phone farm back up. I've got a portion of it is actually running. You can't see it over here on camera. It's over here on the right. But I have other phones that I'm in the process of actually getting started back up here. I've moved literally within this last week. So, and there is a lot of work involved. But, you know, like I said, I kept my phone farm. I did that for a very specific reason because I thought that something would pop up here. I really did. And I was right. Something did pop up. And I did. I showcased in a live stream before this one how I generated over $2,000. Well, we could go further in depth with this. I'll show you guys a bit more right here within the podcast. You're going to see a couple of videos here, you know, things that I've talked about here and discussed. You will see up on the screen. But also, I'm going to show you right here. I think I'll show you the history of how I had put over $2,000 into my Amazon account. So I'll go on for so many pages until we make it to maybe what, like $1,500. Would that be enough to prove to you guys? We'll do it right here though. But yeah, I bought like a really nice laptop, and it was all due to these phones. So if I had sold my phones, I feel sorry for the people that hopped out. You know, you don't really know whenever something else is going to pop up. So, and we could see here in the future. Maybe these ad providers that, you know, you have to think about it like this. In a sense, I'm actually advocating for anyone that's out here that's doing this. You know, I really am. I'm trying to hit home with these ad providers. I'd even like to get them on the podcast. I really would. If you would like to join us on the podcast, you know, tell us exactly how you feel about this world of phone farming. Tell us why it is we can't have this whole passive world of things. What is so wrong about it? You know, like as far as like, we're not going to see a phone farm in every single household in America. You know, not everyone is going to want to do this. You know, some people, they want to be out here in the world. They don't want to even mess around with phones. Some people they would never even really understand this, but some people would. So for the people that are actually into this and we actually do it, and we're running your advertisements for you. So, but please explain to us why it is. You know, what is it that you would like to see happen here to where we can all kind of coexist here with this world of making money this way? What is it very specifically that we should be doing here to where we can actually make some money from your advertisements, to where we're staying within the terms and conditions of all of these applications, but we can actually make money at the same time? Because if we're not being paid enough, that's what it all boils down to. If people aren't paid enough, then they either turn away or they try to find a way to make it even more profitable for themselves. So, I guess, we talked about Beermoney.world. You guys definitely want to check out the site because I really think that that's how get paid to websites, they should be. They should be laid out just like that to where you don't have these pointless offers and there's so many either scam websites out here or things that will just totally waste your time. So when we see a company that actually wants to put out something that is as convenient for you as possible, it's worth taking a look at. So, what else though? Let me actually consult my phone over here, guys. We're going to take a look at some things maybe I did not sit here and discuss within the podcast. I think I was going to sit here and talk about some of the methods that people use to abuse these applications. Now, once again, I will not say that I do any of these things myself, but I know that a lot of it, it branches into taking these advertisements. You have a unique ad ID for your phone. So within the settings of your phone and within Google, you have a section that is your Google ad ID, and you can actually switch that ad ID. So whenever you do that, it makes your phone appear to these advertising companies as if it were a brand new phone. So I know a lot of people are actually out here doing just that. They take their ad ID on their phones, they swap that ad ID. That way they have more advertisements that will be available to them. And I was talking to a person that hosts an app, and they said that this is one of the worst things that a person could sit here and do for their app. It really hurts them with the ad providers. Now, the question is, why is something like that even allowed? Why is it that we can do that right here on our phones? Why does Google allow that as an option? Why isn't Google shut that off? But it's bad for the ad providers. Why are we allowed to do it? So that's a question that I've really had. Why would something even be available for a person to do? So I'm sure that these companies, they're over here trying to find ways to make everything as structured for them and I guess as exploitable free as possible. And I know that, like I said, they've had all this time to sit here and work on these things, but this stuff is out here. People are taking these applications and they're finding ways to make them more profitable. I myself, for one, would rather just already have an application that actually pays really decently as opposed to looking at some sort of a method like that to make money. So it's all about a system of structure. That's what I think is really lacking here. And I really, really think that communication is lacking here. So the people that have the applications should be quicker to talk to someone whenever they email them. And the ad providers should not be so, I guess, boxed off in their offices and, just sitting there watching where the money is going. And they should be speaking with everyone, They should be talking to people more. And now we have a platform that maybe they could do just that. So I feel like that's pretty much everything for our podcast here. As far as the history of phone farming, it's been going on for a while. It's still going on now. It's not what it used to be. I should talk really quickly about Vice. They actually did an article, and they portrayed my channel within that article. There's a video. It talked about how you could get smartphones very, very cheaply. It was one of my videos here on YouTube, and they have a lot of misconceptions out here whenever it comes to the world of phone farming. Not everyone is out here just taking their phones, and we're not like elite hackers out here. This really is the topic, guys. We're not like the elite hackers of the web, and we know every single way that we can take a smartphone and oh my God, we make billions of dollars off of our phones. This has always been something that a person could sit here and do and generate just a little, for most people, a little bit of money. We don't hack every single applicant. This is not what happens here. And in fact, a lot of people, they want to follow the terms and conditions. We're going to talk about Vice in another podcast, guys. We're going to talk about that entire article. I'm going to break it down. But I really want to stress, a lot of people are out here, they just run the apps and they follow the terms and conditions of the apps, and that's what they do. And a lot of people did that for the longest time. I think a ton of people that have seen my channel and they got into this world of phone farming, that's exactly what they did. They ran the perk applications. They generated their points. Perk didn't have a device limit. They never told anybody what the actual device limit was for their apps. So a lot of people know they really weren't out here doing they weren't doing anything wrong. They were using these apps however they could use them. Because you know what? It was the people that had the apps that did not, and still in a lot of cases, they do not tell you. They do not tell you exactly what not to. There's some information, but not all of the information that you need to know. If there's a gray area where a person doesn't understand something, they don't know something because you haven't told them what not to do, you only have yourself to blame at the end of the day. Whenever this is the biggest thing, device limits are it's like one of these topics that even if you contact a person about their app, in a lot of cases they won't tell you. They'll avoid the subject. Why is that? So, like I said, not everybody is out here. I am an anonymous hacker. I will take all of these phones and make $1 million in 1 year. So, but yeah, guys, phone farming will be here in the future. I feel like that's everything I'm going to sit here and discuss in this podcast. I really hope that you guys have enjoyed watching this. You've gotten something useful here that you can take with you. I think there's a couple of ways, brand new ways that you just heard to make some money out here. So that's a major plus for you as well. If you're listening to this podcast and you would like to see more of the content that is available here, you can check us out right here on the Beer Money podcast on YouTube. So this is if you're listening here, if you're just a listener. But I feel like that's everything. In the future, guys, once again, we have a lot of topics that we need to approach here. Paying websites will always be a part of what I'm doing here on YouTube. And yeah, I encourage you guys to leave some comments down within this video. Let me know what you would like to hear talked about within our podcast here. Let me know what your views and your opinions are right now for the state of phone farming. This is a big one for me. I'd really like to know, what are your opinions for the state of phone farming? Do you think that it's totally dead? Should we call it phone farming anymore? Do we just need to say it's making money via the web? You know, is that because it all boils down to just that? Is the term phone farming truly dead? You hear my phones over here. I mean, so I would like to think it's not dead, but it's just evolving. But yeah, let me know down in the comments below. And guys, I will see you once again for another podcast. We should have our second podcast up. Goal is to have it up Friday. So I'll say, and also let me go ahead and let you know that we will be doing another live stream here very soon. You know, with the fact that we're coming back with content, I want to sit with you guys and answer some more questions. And I'm not sure when we'll do our live stream. It might be another surprise live stream. So you'll definitely want to keep your attention over in this direction to see what all is happening over here at the Beer Money podcast. Guys, I will see you in the next one.